What's up, Tyler? Plugged on. I'm here with one of my favorite videos to do all year, and that is my album of the year list. These are going to be my top 12 albums of 2019, and yes, we are about a little over a week into 2020, but honestly, I'm glad we kind of pushed these videos back a little bit, just because I needed some time to just catch up and revisit a lot of albums, so I think, it's kind of a good thing in a way, because I think it'll just make these videos better. And speaking of videos, we have top movies up, we have top songs, and then Sam and Keith both have their top 10s up, so go check out all of that stuff. And let's just get into it, man. I think 2019 was a pretty good year for metal. There was definitely a handful of albums that I really, really enjoyed. And a lot of really good ones. And to be honest with you, we kind of didn't do a most disappointing list because, almost like Keith said in his video, there wasn't really a ton of really bad or disappointing stuff, at least in my opinion this year. I thought everything was at least all right, to good, at least from what I like and enjoy. But nevertheless, let's get into the list. Of course, this is my personal top 12 list, but I would love to hear what you guys have on your list as well. So let's get into it. My number 12 album of 2019 is Deserted from Gatecreeper. I like Gatecreeper a lot, and I know they've been gaining a lot of popularity recently, and I just think this album hits really hard, and that's the thing that I really like about it. I love how ferocious it is. I love when it slows down and gets really kind of old school, almost Doom-like in a way, with some of its songwriting, and just that sound just completely is a wall of death metal crushing your face. Chase Mason sounds incredible on vocals, really just top-notch work there, and I think all around there's just a lot of really good songs on there. I mean, Puncture Wounds is one of my favorite songs of the year, and then you have From the Ashes, which I think is really cool, has a very cool ending, with bringing in a lot more melody. Everlasting's one that just has a really heavy riff, Boiled Over. Chase just sounds so fucking cool. Every time he says Boiled Over, I'm like, yes, let's go. Also, Absence of Light is a cool way to close out the album. It's just a cool album, and I like Gatecreeper a lot, and bring it on with more Gatecreeper. My number 11 album is Humanicide from Death Angel. I like Death Angel a lot, and man, I feel like they have not put out a bad album in a long time. Actually, let me back up. I don't think Death Angel has a bad album. They haven't put out an album that was just alright in a while to me. I loved Relentless Retribution. The Dream Cause for Blood was excellent. And then The Evil Divide was so fucking good. And Humanicide continues that, and just delivering just incredible thrash songs, only the way that Death Angel knows how to do it. There's some Death Angel ass riffs on here, just kind of weird sounding. Rob Castavani in his crew do an amazing job of keeping Death Angel who they are. They sound awesome. They have an awesome sound. And then Mark Osegueda coming in, just delivering just incredible vocal performances throughout the whole album. Some of my best in favorite Death Angel songs are on this album, such as the title track. The title track is just an absolute thrash masterpiece to me. My favorite part is when the verse is coming back in for the final time, and the guitar kind of is all by itself. They do a little bit higher pitched notes than they did before, and then the drums just do the whole death metal bam 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 bam. It's like, let's fucking go, boy. It just sounds so good. But then Aggressor is a super catchy song, and then I Came for Blood just punches you in the face and runs away. It's so quick and fast. I love it. The Pack is also just such a cool anthem that I could see Death Angel throwing that in every fucking set that they play from here until they're done. It's just such a good song, and I think overall this is just a really solid fucking Death Angel album. My number 10 album of 2019 is one people will probably be like, what in the fuck? But I don't really care, because I love this genre of music. And to be honest with you, this album just delivered, and I had so much fun listening to it, and that is extreme power metal from Dragonforce. Yes, I put Dragonforce on my list. I think this is an incredible Dragonforce album, and it's just incredibly fun to listen to. And yeah, power metal's cheesy, Dragonforce is cheesy. This is no different. But what it has is just, excuse me, a lot of just really fun songs to listen to, such as Cosmic Power of the Infinite Shred Machine. There's just incredible guitar work going on there. And definitely you get a couple minutes into that song, and Herman Lee and Sam Totman are just delivering just incredible guitar work. And of course, Dragonforce is always known for that, but to me, they kind of, every album moving forward recently, especially since Mark Hudson joined the band, I feel like in a way they've been dialing back just the shreddiness. Of course it's still there, but they have songs on here that are just good power metal songs, such as one of my favorite songs of the year, The Last Dragonborn. It's just such a good power metal song. Strangers is another one. It's just a cool, fun 80s jam that you can just kind of sing along to. Of course, there's some really corny stuff on here. Remembrance Day, Trooper of the Stars, but it's power metal, and it's delivering exactly what power metal needs to do, and it's not afraid to hide that. Just look at the fucking title of the record. And then also the awesome cover of Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. Just perfect rendition of that. So yeah, my number 9 album, 2019, is a band that I just feel gets better and better and better, and that is Fit for an Autopsy with the Sea of Tragic Beast. Fit for an Autopsy to me is becoming must-listen music whenever they drop anything, and to me they're bringing such a different spin and a different sound overall to deathcore. And yeah, they have the heaviness. There's some fucking heavy shit on here. Warfare, Mirrors, Your Pain Is Mine has just incredibly crushing breakdowns, and I love those moments. But I also love when they just do different stuff. To See a Tragic Beast is one. Shepherds really stands out to me. Napalm Dreams is another one that I think is a cool closer for the album. They bring just a different style to deathcore to keep it fresh, keep it interesting, but they're crushing when they need to be. And overall, they have just grown so much as songwriters to the point where just every song has just that hook behind it, whether it's vocals, guitar, whatever, and it just delivers. I thought their last record was great. This one might be better. I don't know. It's just, I love this band. I can't get enough of them as of late. They just keep delivering really good stuff. Let's see here. Number 8. Alright. I like this one a lot. Let's fucking go, boy. Blood Incantation with Hidden History of the Human Race. Man, you want to talk about such an interesting band in death metal. And one just delivering some really different music. And they're only 2 albums into their career. And then they just bring such a different vibe to death metal. And you just take one of my favorite tracks of the year, Slave Species of the Gods, and just, first of all, there is some fucking amazing riffs in that song, but then bringing in some melody, bringing in some weird stuff in the Geezer Power Plant, for example, and then writing a 17-minute death metal track with Awakening from the Dream of Existence, and this is a very long title, but a 17-minute death metal track that's actually interesting to listen to from start to finish. It just takes you on a roller coaster. This band's not afraid to bring in other styles or different vibes to death metal while also keeping it old school style in a way, old school sound, and just crushing moments. And it's just so good. One of my favorite moments on this album, and it's in the track Slave Species of the Gods, is it's just when that guitar solo happens, and you have the main riff coming back in as the rhythm, and the drums are just have the perfect beat to them, and to me they can deliver those moments while also just bringing something new to the genre, and I just think they're very interesting, and I really like this album a lot. Next up was an album that I didn't listen to, or I didn't review, sorry, but man, has just grown on me over time, and it's one that I found myself kind of coming back to a lot and going, you know what, this is really good, and that is The Ruins of Fading Light from Crypt Sermon. Crypt Sermon, if you don't know them, they're kind of I guess a doom metal band with some classic metal influences from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I just think they have delivered an incredible album here. Vocally, I think this album is so fucking catchy with the Ninth Templar, Black Candle Flame, Key of Solomon is such an interesting track. Christ is Dead probably has the catchiest fucking chorus on the whole album. And yeah, they have those doom elements where they're a little bit slower, but to me they bring a lot of atmosphere to the album through acoustical sections or guitar melodies, but then they also have just more classical metal elements into them, vocally just soaring, just in your face, but in that kind of old school metal way that just makes you throw the horns up. It's so fantastic to listen to, and there's a lot of meat on the bone with this album. Each song has just a lot going on with it, and it's one that I've thoroughly enjoyed and keep coming back to, and I just think they're an exciting young band in the metal scene. Next up with number 6, I have The Valley from Whitechapel. Whitechapel have chosen to kind of go in a different direction over the past 2 albums specifically, and to me Whitechapel kind of didn't, their past 2 albums, Our Endless War and Mark of the Blade, didn't really do anything for me. There's a couple tracks on there, but overall I wasn't digging the production, I wasn't digging the songwriting, it just wasn't there for me, like their Self-Titled was, or A New Era of Corruption, or This Is Exile. And you can tell that they want to move away from deathcore, but they don't want to alienate the fan base that they have gathered over their career. And I think with The Valley, it's the best Whitechapel has been since 2012's Self-Titled album. And if this is the direction they're going, I'm all for it, because not only to me is the production way better on this album, it's not overproduced. Phil Bozeman sounds great, the guitars pop and sound fucking heavy like they need to, but I just think this album has some of the most exciting writing that Whitechapel has done a long time. And yeah, they're infusing clean vocals into their sound more and more, but I think what I like that they're doing is I feel they're writing the guitars to Phil Bozeman's vocal abilities, and he sounds better on this album. But you take Hickory Creek or When a Demon Defiles a Witch, 2 standout tracks that I really like. There's some really great melodic guitars going on, some softer sections, and I think Phil just adds to that. But then you have just those amazing Whitechapel crushing moments. I mean, When a Demon Defiles a Witch is amazing and incredibly crushing, especially to start off. Yeah, forgiveness is weakness. I love when it gets to that final breakdown there, and Phil Bozeman's going on and on. Yeah, Brimstone, Black Bear have some really great riffs. And then closing out the album is Doomboy. It's a lot of just dark melodies going on there on the guitars, and I just think Whitechapel just created something so interesting to listen to with this one, and it's an album that I was blown away with the first time I listened to it, and I kind of keep coming back to it a lot, and I think it's very well made. So good for Whitechapel. I kind of thought that, to me, they were a band, no, I'm not saying to everybody, but at least to me, they were a band that was kind of lost, and I wasn't going to be digging anything that they were going to do moving forward if they were continuing like they did on the 2 previous albums. But now that they just, I feel, delivered something really good with this one, I'm all on board. My number 5 album is Slipknot's We Are Not Your Kind. This is an album that I feel collectively, amongst the 3 of us, we all enjoy quite a lot, and I think this is Slipknot's best album since Volume 3. That's just my personal opinion, of course, but We Are Not Your Kind has so many awesome awesome tracks on it. They have the tracks that have big appeal to them. Unsainted being that, but Unsainted is so catchy. Unsainted, believe it or not, is actually my most listened to song in 2019. I just think that chorus is just absolutely amazing. Such a big hook to it. I love everything about that track. But it's some of the other tracks on here that I think really just bring this album to kind of a complete whole package, basically. The Great Chapter, to me, and even All Hope Is Gone, those albums have some songs that I really enjoy, but as a whole, they're not albums that I come back to a lot. Where I come back to their early records a lot, and I feel like I'll be coming back to We Are Not Your Kind a lot, because it's the other songs that I think are some of the best Slipknot's done in a long time. Nero Forte is amazing. That middle breakdown, the first time I heard that, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is awesome. This just, it brings that Slipknot anger to it, but of course their new sort of sound. But then you have that chorus that is just a different kind of vibe for Slipknot, and you have the kind of the clean vocals going on, then Corey Taylor just comes in, just doing what he does, delivering incredible lines, sounding very angry, which is Slipknot. I think he just sounds really good. Birth of the Cruel's another really good one. Spiders is such an interesting track, I think, for Slipknot. Not Long for This World's another one I really enjoy. And then, of course, I think one of the best songs they've ever written is Solway Firth to close out the album. That song, the thrashy moments are awesome. Overall, the whole track is just fucking killer. And to me, Slipknot just delivered something so exciting to listen to. The songwriting is excellent from start to finish, and it's an album that I just constantly was coming back to this year and just could not get enough of it. Number 4 is an album that everybody was waiting for a long time, and that is Fear Inoculum from Tool. I absolutely fucking love this album. Now, and I say that as in, I know this album's been on a lot of number 1 lists, and I think it's deserving to be up there if that's your jam. I just think people need to slow their roll of saying this is the best album of the decade. Like, it's very good. Would I put it on a best of a decade list? Depends how big that list is, but yeah, probably. But let's just slow your roll a little on that. That's just my opinion, of course. But nonetheless, I really dig this album. And it's a different album for Tool. It's a lot more of a slow burn. It's a lot more of a journey, in my opinion, than any of their other records. But I think over time, the more I listened to this album, the more its complexity became so engaging and beautiful to me. That slow burn really clicked with me. And I think a lot of the moments that these songs are constantly building up to really pay off the more and more you give this album a chance and a really solid, true listen. And I think it's also an album that I can throw on to just get a lot of work done or something like that. But man, there's some just amazing moments on here. On the title track, I think Maynard just sounds amazing, and that song is just really grown on me a lot. Invincible and Descending especially, I think such a beautiful song, and I love the journey that song goes on. But Invincible, of course, my favorite section is right in the middle that they are constantly building up to. And when you think they're going to get there, they don't. But then they eventually get there, and it's fucking awesome. I'm talking about kind of the heavy, just palm-muted section. Tool sounded a little heavier than that, and I wish it just had a little bit more beef to it. But I love it when it gets there. And then the last main track, Tempest, 7 Empest. Whatever, is of course really good. A lot of cool guitar work on it, a lot more energetic, and I just overall really just dig this album. And like I said, the more I listened to it, the more it grew on me, and the more I found something new with every listen. Number 3 is an album from a band that I was really into. Gosh, almost 10 years ago now, probably 8-9 years at this point. I was really into them when they kind of came out, started to gain some popularity. Enjoyed them, enjoyed listening to their new albums, but they never stuck with me like this album did. And I'm talking about Nothing Left to Love from Counterparts. This album has just clicked with me in every way like no other Counterparts album has done. And, Sam's a big Counterparts fan, and he's, to him, this album's just another good Counterparts album. And I have no doubt that to a lot of people, it's another good Counterparts album with some more great Counterparts songs. But it's something about this album and its songwriting that has just vibed with me in every single way every time I listen to it. Starting off with the opening track, a shorter track, Love Me. They come in, would you love me when there's nothing left to love? And that's just an incredible line. And Counterparts is kind of a depressing band to listen to when you really look at their lyrics, but their lyrics are also just, I really enjoy them. But then that breakdown comes in that song, and it's just fucking crushing. And just gets me fired up every time. And then you get into Wing of Nightmares, Paradise and Plague. I think the first 5-6 songs on this album are just banger after banger. You get to, Your Own Knife, The Hand That Used to Hold Me, have some incredibly beautiful melodic guitar moments, but then you have Separate Wounds that has a really kind of crushing breakdown. One of my favorite tracks of the year, and that second verse when that breakdown's there and they're going on, and then that chorus comes in, which is just so catchy, just such an amazing track. And even to close out the album, I think the title track is something that is an interesting track to close out on, but one that I love a lot. There's a lot to love on this album, despite the album name. And like I said, this album just has clicked with me in every way, and I can't not stop listening to it since it came out. My number 2 is an album that came out all the way back in January of 2019, almost a year ago now, and I was the first album review of 2019, and that is Soilwork with Verkleiten. If I pronounced that correctly, I apologize. Man, what a record from Soilwork. I think this is absolutely one of their best, and it's track after track that just delivers. There's not a single bad song in here, and I think the strongest part about this whole album, and something that Soilwork's always been good at, but especially on this album, is the choruses. The choruses just get stuck in your head for every single one of these songs. Arrival has a ton of great energy to it to start the album off, and a lot of great guitar work, and man, does that chorus stick with you. Some other ones that are really good. Stahlfagel is one of my favorite tracks of the year. What a big, amazing chorus that is on there. And Bjorn sounds fucking amazing on it. And I also just kind of love the goofy guitar work that's going on there with that verse. It's absolutely incredible. You have The Nurturing Glance, which is another fucking awesome song. Watan has a beautiful chorus to it, and a lot of great melody. But then you have the ending on The Ageless Whisper, Needles and Kin, You a Quiver are awesome tracks to all end on. It's just song after song on here is just delivers exactly what you want from Soilwork. You want guitar riffs, you want a lot of great guitar leads and a lot of powerful vocals and choruses, and to me this is the best they've been since The Living Infinite, and one of the best albums that they've done, period. And I love this album, and I really fucking wish they would come around to the United States and tour, man. Unless I missed it, I haven't seen anything from them, and I really want to see Soilwork, especially touring behind this album. So here we are, my number 1 album of 2019. One that, if you've been following this channel, might surprise you a little bit, but to me is without a doubt the album that I feel just connected with me the most, and immediately connected with me. One I felt addicted to listening to it when it came out, and it's a band that is really taken off and is just delivering incredible stuff, and that is A Different Shade of Blue by Knocked Loose. is my 2019 album of the year. And I never would have guessed it. I mean, coming into 2019, I started listening to Knocked Loose at the end of 2018, actually. And was listening to laugh tracks, and I was like, I've heard a lot about this band, and fuck, this album is very good for what they are. And, they don't give a fuck. They are just blowing your face off with just incredibly heavy hardcore music. And then, to me, delivering this album, it is every single song on this album is fucking amazing to me. And it just, the energy that this band brings, the anger that they bring, in the way they transition from one section to another, and just the production, the crushing nature of this entire thing, how I feel like Brian is literally coming out of my speakers and grabbing me by my shirt and screaming in my face. This band blows me away with this album. And also, I saw them recently at the Christmas Burns Red Festival. The place was going fucking nuts. There was at least 2,000-3,000 people in there just going fucking crazy. It was actually just almost a little scary seeing how just crazy the crowd was, and just how much energy they bring to everybody. They're just that band, and I feel it's reflected on this album so well. The opening track, Belleville, is a fucking banger. And of course, you have that middle section with just such a heavy guitar riff, and the way it builds up to that is awesome. You have my favorite song of 2019, which is Trapped in a Grasp of a Memory. There's just section after section in that song that's just fucking perfect. The way it starts off, you're almost not ready for it. And then just delivering some fucking disgusting guitar work. It's so good. It sounds so good. And that's a song to me that just highlights how good this band is from transitioning from one section to another. A Serpent's Touch, By the Grave, In the Walls are great tracks that just deliver a ton of classic Knocked Loose moments to me. And of course, you have some of the lead singles, Mistakes Like Fractures, and Still I Wonder South, which have those vocal hooks that are great, the guitar work that's just perfect. And I love everything about this album, and it just gets me fired up every time I listen to it. It's the album that I feel like I had the best time listening to in 2019, the album that hit me the most. Because to be honest with you, up until this album released, I wasn't fully sure what my album of the year was. Usually there's one or two or three that might stand out as like, it's between these three albums to me. Last year was kind of a tie between Judas Priest, Rivers of Nile, and Amorphous. But this year there really wasn't that. I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed Soilwork, and I enjoyed, Tool and things like that, but it wasn't really until this album came out, and I guess this album came out before Tool, but regardless, it wasn't until this album came out that I was like, this is it. Like just after a couple listens, I'm like, this is my 2019 album of the year, without a doubt. It's not even close. So, that's it. Let me know what your top 10, 12 albums, whatever, of 2019 were. See you guys in actually, it's 2020. Fuck it. See you guys around with some new videos. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.